Fred, welcome back to the Jewelry Business Academy podcast.
Thank you.
I'm excited to have you here today and a little um, curious to see what we're going to be chatting about because you're going to be taking over the reins and um, doing a hot seat episode today. So I know you've got a whole lot of questions, and we were just chatting before we started recording. You know, Margaret, your wife, came and hosted a hot seat episode, and hers just went out recently, and it was definitely one of the hardest hot seats I think that I've had to do.
Mine will be much easier.
I'm happy to hear that. So, it's funny because you guys come with completely different questions and interests. So, yeah, I'm excited to have you on. For anyone who doesn't know who you are, do you want to go ahead and just give everyone a little bit of an intro and some context?
So I am the husband of Margaret of centeringpendants.com. I worked forever. I was my background. I graduated with a degree in electrical and computer engineering, and worked in a variety of industries. But the last 18 years or so, I worked in data analytics for a wind turbine company, and I retired just a couple of years ago. Kind of actually an early retirement. They encouraged, so they made some offers for early retirement to try to trim people back, and I took it. So while technically I'm retired, I now work for Margaret. So I basically will. I volunteered to say, okay, I'll take the mental capacity or the mental load off of you for the non-creative stuff, anything that I can do to help her. So she is extremely creative, but she doesn't like the business side. So I'm trying to do what I can to help her and make her journey a little easier. So
I love that. Yeah, you guys are you have such a great partnership. We
yeah,
love
we do.
seeing how you're so supportive of one another and how you're so supportive of Margaret and the business. And I will just say, I think it's so, so special. I don't know if you recognize, how rare that is because, I've worked with entrepreneurs for many, many years, and I've seen a lot of, husbands get threatened by people's jewelry businesses, their partners' jewelry businesses. I've also seen a lot celebrate, but it's rare to see people who like business owners who are so supported by their partner in this way.
Unfortunately, that's disappointing to hear because I honestly, I'm very secure with who I am. I'm looking forward to Margaret being very successful and growing her business. And quite honestly, I hesitated at first to come back and do this hot seat with you because to me, I didn't want the emphasis to be on me. It's about Margaret. I'm just an assistant. I'm doing, I'm not even doing the important stuff. I'm not creating anything. So I'm just here to help her. So, I didn't want to take any spotlight off of her. But I'm very encouraging. She's incredibly talented. I think what she's doing, I think she's come up with a beautiful idea. The concept of the pendant that she's created is amazing. And yeah, I'll do anything I can to help her. Uh, Even when working, I've been at every festival that she's ever been at. So I'm always there to help her, and I haven't missed a single one. So
Wow.
I enjoy it. I do tend to be. I am more of the outgoing person. That she's very much an introvert, and things like that can drain her. Where I get energized. I go to every festival. I'll talk. I'll get up and start talking to people and strike up conversations with people I've never met before. So I
Oh my
love it.
gosh, I love it. And I can tell you love it. I can tell this energizes you. And
Yeah.
I think it's just so beautiful, for people to see you guys as a really incredible example of what a marriage and
Thanks.
partnership can look like in business as well. And yeah, thank you for sharing that. And so I know you're going to be hitting me with the questions which you've promised are going to
Yeah.
not be hard hitting today. You've promised they're going to be easy breezy. So, well, why don't you kick us off with your first one, Fred?
All right. So, I know you were in the corporate world for a long time. What was the motivation from going from corporate world into jewelry, or did you have a transition where you went from corporate to another business and then to
Hmm.
jewelry, or did you jump straight into jewelry?
Yeah, this is such a great question because growing up, never in a million years did I think I would be a business owner. Like, I didn't
Hmm.
even study business at school. I would have been curious about it. I was kind of
Hmm.
jealous of everyone who did. I just thought they were all smarter than me. I was like, cool, those people are extra special. I don't have what it takes to start a business, so I'm not even going to go learn it at school. So I never had like any kind of inclination that I would ever have a
Hmm.
business. And I was in the corporate world, um, and I was climbing the corporate ladder. And I was one of the youngest people at our company to be promoted to manager, like at a very young age. But I was marketing manager. And in my mind, I was like so focused on achieving marketing manager. That title just meant everything to me. And it feels so silly looking back. But when I was so young, that to me was like, oh, I'm going to feel happy. I'm going to feel fulfilled. I'm going to feel worthy.
Hmm.
I'm going to feel all these things when I hit this title. And I'm going to feel less stressed, and I'm going to have more money, and all these things that I'd built up in my mind. So I was so focused on hitting marketing manager. And then I was already planning, and then I'm going to be director before I'm 30. And then I'm going to be this, and I'm going to be this. And I fully just saw myself climbing the corporate ladder.
Hmm.
That was literally, I had blinders on. That was all I was going to do. And so I got promoted to marketing manager. I was doing a really good job in my role. I had saved the company so much money as well in other things I did. And I remember just like about a week or two after being promoted, just being like, is this it? Like, like the
Hmm.
pay rise was so ridiculous. It was laughable. The stress was just increased.
Yep.
The expectations were increased. And I was like, oh, I don't know why I thought things would be different. I actually felt worse when I hit that milestone. So then I was like, you know what? Maybe this is the company I'm in. It's a toxic work environment, this. So let me start like talking to other people and see like maybe I need another company. And I spoke to other people who were a decade or two older than me about their experience in different companies within Canada. And I very quickly realized it wasn't
They're
the
all the same.
company that I was at, it was every single company. Maybe with the exception of like tech companies, and like smaller business companies. But what I realized was in Canada, at least, it's very different from the experience my friends had in the UK, for example. Like the corporate world in the UK versus Canada, very, very different experience
Hmm.
from what I've heard. I mean, number one, they start with like 24 days of vacation. I
Wow.
was set at 10 days vacation, and I was like, hey, when do I move up to like 15? And they were like, oh, in like 10 years, we can increase by a couple of days.
Hmm.
And at that point, my salary was like, I was like only just surviving. And I was like, oh, okay, like, how am I going to function in this world as someone who doesn't have a family that can financially support me? Like, I have to financially support myself. I'm working all day, every day. I get home from work. I just have enough time to like go to a gym, eat, sleep, repeat. I just feel like I'm on this hamster wheel, and
Yep.
talking to other people who are like, and looking at the day-to-day experience of like other people who I was working with, I was like, they don't have the energy to do anything when they get home from work. They
Right.
don't get to stay at home with their kids when their kids are sick, or they're already stressed because their boss isn't happy about it, and all these things. And I was like, you know what? If I stay on this path, I'm going to end up in their situation. And I wouldn't want to trade places with any of these people as much as they were great people. I was just like, this feels very much like hell to me in the nicest way possible. And I don't want that to, like, for anyone listening who's in that situation. Some people thrive. Some people, like, everyone's in a different situation. But I was like, no, no. Now, what also happened at a very similar time to me getting this promotion was I got my permanent residency card in Canada.
Okay.
So up until that point, I had never been able to think of anything other than having that type of job because it was tied to my visa. I had to have a certain type of job for a certain number of years to get PR. So having a business, doing a restaurant job, like anything else, anything creative, I could not have done because I wouldn't have been able to stay in the country. And I think it was a combination of getting that title and then recognizing I wasn't fulfilled, seeing the pay and realizing I'm never going to survive on this. And then also suddenly getting the PR and suddenly finding out, like, oh, I can do anything now.
Now your options are open.
Yeah. And I think some people don't, like, I love Canadians. Guys, I'm now Canadian as well. I love them, but sometimes I hear people complaining about Canada. I'm like, do you have any idea the opportunities you have in this country? Like, it's unreal to me. And so that's when I was like, you know what? I need to research. I need to think of something. So I started Googling on my lunch breaks, like how to, like, make money in other ways. And I found this infographic of here's how you make $1 million. And it's like sell X number of products at X amount, and had this whole breakdown. I was like, oh, this I can do. Like, find a product
with your marketing. Sure.
Yeah. And so with the marketing, I was like, how hard is it to sell? I mean, you have to know I was doing B2B marketing for chemicals that are essential. So it was a very different type of marketing.
Sure.
And then I was like, you know what? Now I just need to find a product. So it actually came to me in a dream, like 2 or 3 weeks later. I woke up at 3 a.m. with this dream of, oh, I'm going to start a jewelry business. I had made jewelry throughout my childhood for fun. I never thought it would be a business. But in the dream, it was like, here's the name, here's the vibe, here's what it's going to look like. I had such a vivid image. And I woke up at 3 a.m, bought the website, and the next day registered it. A few days later, opened the bank accounts. 3 months later, left my corporate job and went head first into the business. So I knew it was going to be the hardest thing I ever did. I knew I was probably going to hit rock bottom. And I knew I didn't want an easy way out. I didn't want to do half corporate, half that, because I knew that the minute it got hard, I didn't want an easy way out of it. I just was like, you know what? Future me 5-10 years from now will be so grateful that I went through this period of struggle and built something where I earn my time, where I feel fulfilled, where I get to work with beautiful jewelry and not toilet cleaners and cleaning chemicals on my desk and stuff like that, which is what I was marketing at the time. And
so I'm curious, because I know you've talked about starting a jewelry business before. What was the name of your business? I don't think you've ever mentioned that.
You know what? I don't generally mention the name because people go searching for it. And I've rebranded the Instagram page to my coaching page. Like, we archived a whole lot of posts and rebranded.
Okay.
And the website is no longer up. And then people are like, oh my God, I can't find it. But I will share the name. So it was named Clara Lifestyle. Now, Clara is actually a word that it was the first word I learned when I was in Spain, when I moved to Spain. They have these fountains all over in the little, like, towns called fuentes. And I don't know why. Somebody taught me the first time they showed me one of these fountains. They're like, it's a fuente Clara. It's like clear fountain or something. And I fell in love with the word Clara and the name Clara. And so that Clara Lifestyle came to me. And I was like, yep, we're doing it. And it kind of fits with my name, Clark. So I was like, it works. The thing that happened was everybody then, from the duration of my jewelry business, thought my name was Clara. So a lot of people think my name's Clara still.
That's funny. So how long did it take you from the time you started to where you got, I won't say comfortable, where you felt like, okay, I can make this go? Yeah.
So I did everything wrong in my business. Like, anything that you can think of that you shouldn't do, I did it all. I overinvested in inventory. I invested in a photographer, spent thousands off the bat to get these gorgeous photos to build this beautiful website. I bought so much inventory and I thought, this is so good. The pricing's so good. The designs are so gorgeous. When this website goes live, everything's going to sell out. And I was worried about how I was going to keep up with orders.
Yeah.
That's
Trust me,
what
we've
I
been
was
there
thinking.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't put the website live because I'm not ready yet. And I was like, I hesitated to do that. And it should have gone live way before then. I was too scared to tell people about what I was doing because like the criticism that I'd get from leaving such a good corporate job to doing this. So I did every mistake in the book. I also spent an excessive amount of time doing the work that I tell my clients not to do, which is researching and planning and list writing. So I put in an insane amount of hours in the first 8-ish months, and I got very little sales. And I got to the point where I was like, okay, Robyn, you're going to have to get a job at McDonald's now because this is not working. And I was like, I'm not going back to the corporate world. At this point, I'd been re-offered that other job back for double the salary.
Wow.
Twice. And so I was like, part of me, it just lit a fire in me where I was like, oh, screw you, because I asked for a raise and you said you couldn't afford it. And now I'm being offered double.
For double. Yeah.
So I was like, no, you know what? I'm going to make my own money. But I told myself that if I didn't hit $10,000 the next month, and this was where my business was maybe making $1,000 to $2,000 a month. I was like, if I don't hit 10,000 next month, I'm getting a job at McDonald's and I am going to have to build this part-time. And let me tell you, I wrote out my plan. I did it. I hit like 13,000. And then from there, sales were consistent because that's when everything shifted. I started treating my business like a business. Yeah. I started doing what was required. I started doing the vulnerable work. And I just I actually worked less time and less hours, but I just started doing what you have to do to sell your jewelry, to be visible. Yep. And before that point, I was just wasting my time. Like, I wish I'd had like the blueprint that we take our clients through where it's like, hey, just do these things and follow this path. But I spent 8 months literally wasting time and spending a lot of money. And one thing I'll tell you I did in those 8 months, Fred, and you'll die when you hear this. I worked with 2 ads agencies.
Oh, wow.
In Toronto, 2 top ads agencies. And I lost, I don't know, $20-ish thousand. Yeah. So not only was my business not generating money, I lost an insane amount of money in those 8 months because I was like, okay, the product's good, the price is good, the photos are good, the website's good. All of this is in place. All we need is people to know about it. So let's work with the top ad agencies. I had meetings with them. They're like, oh yeah, we can help you, blah, blah, blah. So I signed up for ads and I burnt my fingers so much. And what is scary is looking back on it. I was such a newbie at business. I had no idea what I was doing. But if I had taken one look at somebody's Instagram and website, knowing what I know now, and they told me they were going to run ads, I would have said, there's no way you can run ads right now. Like, your offer statement isn't dialed in. Your messaging's not dialed in. You haven't actually built any organic traffic here. You haven't proven your concept. If you have an unlimited budget and you want to just throw money at this, go ahead. But if you're somebody who literally is financially supporting themselves and you're getting yourself into a ton of debt right now, you can't do this. And that's what scares me about a lot of these ads agencies is they should have known this business is not ready for ads, both of them. Yep. But no, because they want the money. They want you to pay for them. So I learned a very expensive mistake. And that's why such a heavy focus of what I do in the JBA is organic sales first. You need to hit 8,000 to 10,000 minimum in organic sales per month before you even start exploring ads, unless you just want to boost posts. That's different. Yeah, but running ads with an agency, it is absolutely no joke. And so, yeah, I made that huge mistake.
It sounds a lot like us. I mean, honestly, we, I know you've asked us about this before. It was prior to joining the JBA, we had spent far more than we spent on the JBA, throwing money away, doing things that were not helpful. We
Yeah.
didn't know it. We thought they were going to be helpful, but they weren't. And yes, the JBA was additional cost on top of that, but had we joined the JBA earlier, we could have saved ourselves quite a bit of money. It's mistakes. You learn from it. We don't,
Yeah.
we don't worry about it. I mean, yeah, it was painful, but we move on and
Yeah.
keep going. So, I'm thankful you've learned your lessons so that you can teach us.
I know. I learned the hard way. I learned everything the hard way. Like nothing in the jewelry business came easy to me. It was like all a struggle. And then I like dialed it in and slowly refined. And yeah, it's just been a process.
Now, how long did you run your business before you started thinking about doing the coaching? How long was your business in play?
Gosh, I don't remember the exact amount of time because there was overlap as well with the
Sure.
coaching, but it was probably 7 or 8 years
Okay.
about where it was my full time thing. But I actually started coaching long before I had the coaching business. So
Right.
I remember I was invited to Toronto Fashion Week with my jewelry, and this was, I don't know, a couple years into the business. And that's when I started meeting like really talented designers who went to fashion school, who are true artists. Like, I'd say Margaret is such a true artist. I'm like
Yes.
somebody who can put stuff together. I'm not, I can be a little creative, but I'm not like an artist. And I met these people who are like so much more talented than I was at jewelry. And I had people come and tell me their story of like, oh, I love that you're doing this. I used to make jewelry, but I couldn't make it work. And I'm like, oh, well, show me your pieces. And it was so gorgeous. I was so intimidated. But I was like, but how come you don't have a business? Like, this stuff is beautiful. And I met so many people like this who would just like kind of share their story. And I started to recognize like, there's a lot of people who are struggling with the business and marketing side, especially as an artist. It's very vulnerable to sell your own work.
Yeah.
So I just like give them advice and be like, oh, why don't you try this? And I remember I even had like a store owner and her husband who'd been in business for many years, way longer than me, be like, hey, Robyn, can we pick up your brain? Can we hop on a call for like an hour and just like pick your brain on this, this, and this? And I did that multiple times for them and helped them with their store sales, which was like still above where I was at my business at that stage. And I just started helping people organically. And then it kind of transitioned at a point when I was like,
I'm curious though. I mean, because you've got a successful jewelry business, you've got income coming in, you're generating revenue.
mm-hmm,
And I can see, okay, you're helping people on the
mm-hmm.
side, but what was your impetus to switch completely out of a successful jewelry business that was generating revenue to now all of a sudden coaching? Did you because that had to be another scary shift a little bit, because
Yeah.
is there enough business? Can you make that switch and generate income just on coaching?
Yeah, that was not something I sat and thought about. What happened was I was like, you know what? I'm going to help more people. The help that I was giving, just being like getting on a call, I would see them 6 months later and they haven't been doing it properly or they haven't implemented. And so I was like, you know what? I need to do a program. I need a blueprint. I need a pathway. I need to help them. So I just built this program and I fully intended to keep both my jewelry
Okay.
business and the coaching.
Okay.
I thought I could do it all, and I did for a couple of months. There was about a 6 to 8 month overlap,
That's a lot of
and
work.
it was a lot. And I would say that if I made a decision to be the hero, I would have kept the jewelry business going, because I would have been so concerned about what will people think if I'm helping jewelry designers and I don't have my business anymore. But what happened was I went through a massive identity shift at that time. And it's funny because I just recorded a solo show this morning talking about that. But what happened was, when I was building my jewelry business, I didn't have a community. I didn't have a support system. I didn't have a coach. I didn't have any of those things. And for so many years, I did it, but I held this weight of running a business on your own. I was isolated. And I spiraled. I ended up being very depressed, and I couldn't work out why, because on the outside I had this successful business, but I hadn't hit these other milestones in life that my friends were hitting, getting married and having babies and all these things. And I didn't see a business as like a milestone to be celebrating in that way, which I should have.
Yeah.
But what happened was I had for so many years like struggled behind the scenes with just being alone and feeling like, oh my gosh, a customer wasn't happy with this. It's my fault. Like it's the end of the world. And when you start speaking to other designers, you're like, oh my gosh, everybody deals with this. Like every
Yes.
problem, everybody's dealing with it. And it was really hard because I felt this weight of like, I need to keep the jewelry business. Like this business gave me so much life. It gave me so much purpose. It gave me income. And I'm now feeling this pull towards helping artists through that messy middle of building a business. And it feels like I'm abandoning something that gave me so much by shutting it down. But the mental load of one business. Now, imagine the mental load of that business and about 100 other business owners telling you all their problems every day. It's a lot.
Yeah.
And I had to sit with this a little bit, but it got to the point where I just couldn't handle it all. And I was like, well, do I grow the team more? But I was like, I don't like managing a huge team of people. It's not what I'm on this world to do. Like even in our coaching business, we're keeping it as streamlined as possible because I like the coaching. I like the connection. I like doing that work. I don't want to just run this big business and these other businesses where I'm just managing a team. It's not for me, but it is for some people. So I closed the doors on the jewelry business, and it was more a like celebration of like all that I learned through that. I grew so much through that business, and I was able to take everything that I learned and actually support so many other business owners through the coaching. So it wasn't as intentional as some people probably think it was. It was more this like pull that I felt, this calling to help and support and coach people. And it's funny because I remember from the age of like 12, I would be like coaching my parents and family and be like calling family meetings, like, here's how we're going to do things. And what do you think about this? And I was always like into that. I'd watch all the like nanny programs and all the like helping people navigate family stuff programs and all the Oprahs and Dr. Phil's and stuff. I was obsessed. So I think it was just a natural kind of evolution. And it's very hard to let go of the labels that we've put on ourselves and the box that we've kind of fit ourselves into, that I'm a designer, to be like, no, I can be a designer and I can evolve into this new role as well. Like that's okay.
Well, we're very happy that you switched. So, now, okay. So I mentioned earlier, we've made a number of costly mistakes along the journey.
Yeah.
So you mentioned one of yours is kind of the ad agencies, but are there other examples of costly mistakes that you made in either the jewelry or the starting the Jewelry Business Academy that you've learned from?
Oh yeah, I've made every mistake in the book. So the most financially like visible one that put me in a lot of debt was running the ads too soon in the jewelry business. That was just the biggest one that you could see financially. But the accumulation of all the other mistakes probably had a bigger impact anyway, because I like all the things I teach my clients to do. I think our clients sometimes think like, Robyn, cool, you're saying like do 10 videos in the Facebook group, but like that's not me. Like I don't like being on camera. You're just confident, like you're just natural at it. They don't realize that a few years ago, many years ago, I couldn't even speak to the camera for 30 seconds. Like I couldn't be on camera. I didn't want to be the face of my brand when I started my jewelry business. I didn't feel worthy of being the face of my brand. When I hired a photographer, I spent thousands for her to take photos of my jewelry on me for my website. And it was already out of my comfort zone. She called me the night before when I was hyping myself up to do this. She called me and was like, hey, I have a friend who's going to be way more photogenic. Why don't I bring her and she can be the one that we shoot all your jewelry on and you can just pay her? And I was like, oh, so now I have somebody who also doesn't believe that I can be the face of my brand, who I'm paying
Wow.
thousands of dollars to. And I had to
Okay.
be like, well, thank you, but like, I'm trying to push myself out my comfort zone. Like, I know that I need to start being the face of my brand, and didn't need to spend thousands of dollars on a photographer, which I teach my clients. That was a big mistake. Big mistake was over investing in SEO experts when there was no point at that stage.
Yep.
Big events. I spent a lot of money on some those 3-day, $3,000 to $5,000 events where
Wow.
they're like, "Oh, we're
Yep.
getting 80,000 people." Volume doesn't equal sales.
Right.
You need alignment. You need the right aligned events.
Yep.
And I'd say overall, just I mean, there's so many mistakes. I didn't talk about my business for the longest time, even when it was successful, to other people or to friends and family. Like, I was very
Hmm.
quiet about it. And I would only, like, it was just something I felt like I had to hide because I had so much flack from people when I left the corporate world. They were
Yeah.
just outraged.
I'll be honest, it's hard to reconcile what you say was your past uh, personality compared to now. I think
Yeah.
it's a world of difference.
Yeah.
It's hard to imagine you being shy and reticent.
Yeah, you know what? That's where I'm so grateful for my jewelry business, because I wouldn't be the person I am today without that business. That business taught me so much about myself. It helped me find embrace my creativity more. It helped me find my voice. It helped me start taking up space. Like, everything that I did in that business was outside my comfort zone.
Mm.
And it just forced me to grow and grow and grow. And I wish I'd had a community like that I could do it with, because it was so scary doing it all on your own. So yeah, I know I'm lifetimes away from who I was.
Yeah.
And I just think it's like evidence for anyone who's listening who is like, oh my gosh, like I want to be as small as possible. Like, I used to be walk into a room and want to be like invisible. Like, please can nobody see me? Please can nobody talk to me? And the jewelry business helped me connect with people. It helped me build confidence in myself. It helped me find my voice. It just taught me so much.
Well, I mean, and to be fair, you're teaching a lot of I think the JBA members the same. Margaret was the same way.
Yeah.
She was absolutely adamant about not doing a podcast, and now she looks forward to it. It's like, I should have done this earlier. So, so it's been, I think what you're pushing is a good path, and it does help transform people.
Oh, I'm so happy to
So,
hear that. Yeah, it's like the podcast. I wanted to start it about 5 years before it started.
mm-hmm.
I told somebody I want to start this podcast because I was meeting all these jewelry business owners and other small business owners. And I was like, I don't know exactly what it'll look like, but I'm going to interview them and chat to them about their journey, because I just thought like we can learn so much from each other. And this person's like, nobody's going to listen. Don't do it. So I didn't do it for 5 whole years. And it's like one of those things where I'm so glad that Margaret's going out there building her podcast, like, and having fun with it, because it is so fun when you work through the blocks.
It bugs me when people tell you, "Oh no, don't do that because you can't do it." That's like, why are people putting their insecurities and their failings and on you or anybody else? It's like, if you want to go do something, do it. It's like, now, okay, the community. You mentioned the community, and I think that is, at least for me, one of the most underrated parts of your program. I love the calls. I love the being able to see and hear and talk to other artists. Again, it's more about Margaret. I know you see me more on it than her, because she's like, okay, I'm going to listen, but I just need to be in the background. But I do think we all get a tremendous amount of benefit from the community. So was that always part of your plan from the very beginning, or was that did that evolve?
Yeah, that's a great question. That evolved. So the first like couple of months of the Jewelry Business Academy, we didn't have a community. I was just working with clients, and the program looked very different at that time. It was like a 90-day program. We didn't have a
Mm,
full year, and they were getting results and doing great. But I I was very immersed in like, okay, well, I'm always looking at like, how can we make this better? How can we support people better? And through that, I was like, you know what? Like, what if we took everyone and put them all together? Because there's value in just feeling less alone on your journey. There's value in feeling like you can ask and help one another, like support one another through other things. And what I had struggled with when I was a designer was I'd meet jewelry designers or other small business owners at events, and I'd be friends with them at a level. But there was always this
yeah,
underlying, like, oh, what if they copy me? Or like everyone's slightly guarded. And so, yeah, you have friendships, but they're not deep soul fulfilling friendships. They're not this community you feel
sure.
you can lean on. You don't feel like you have a support system. So I was like, you know what? Let's see if we can build this, and let's try make it a space where there's no gossiping, where people don't feel threatened about other people copying like their business. How do we do that? Well, we help them find their voice so that they're not going to copy people, because people who are copying are just unsure of who they are and what they're building. And so I brought them together through group calls, and then we built the Facebook community. And yeah, I mean, shout out to our members, because the group is as special as it is because of each and every one of them. I mean,
Yes.
without them, I couldn't
Yeah.
do much. So you can say, oh, I want to build a community, but unless people are like embracing it the way that our JBA members do, they
Yeah.
fully embrace it. They show up, they are vulnerable, they ask questions, they openly share resources and support with one another. They hop on calls with one another. We've had people like meet up, and we've had people from Australia and the US and stuff do in-person
Mhm.
meetups. And there's just such a bond with a lot of our members. We've had a lot of people be like, well, I've met my lifelong friends through this. And yeah, it's because of like you and Margaret and every single person who makes up that community and makes it so special. So no, I didn't know we were going to build such an incredible community, and I would have been blown away if I'd realized just how special it was going to be.
When did you finally realize that it was going to be this impactful?
Ooh, yeah, that's a great question. The community,
Yeah.
I think it wasn't the first time I put everyone together.
Sure.
So
Sure.
here's an embarrassing thing that I tried to forget ever happened. But I'll tell you. My first two group coaching calls that I set up, nobody came to. Like
Oh, wow.
nobody came to my first two, and I was like, oh shoot. Like maybe people aren't going to want to come to group calls and ask questions and be supported in a group
Yeah.
environment. And I ended up just recording a video to be like, hey, here's how we're doing it. Here's how it's going to roll. I would love to see you guys come to the next call. And then people start showing up. And then it started being like, oh, well, I'm getting so much value from this. And I'm like experiencing such, like, it's helping me keep momentum, because
Yep.
so often we feel like we need to only ask for help when we're drowning. And this consistency of the community and the group calls helps people avoid the drowning altogether, because we're like, okay, there's going to be ups and downs every day and every week. Let's
Yep.
just keep consistently building momentum. And when we're going through a little bit of a dip, get on a call, and just even by listening, just get uplifted and be like, oh no, I can do this. I can keep moving forward. So I don't think there was one moment where I was like, okay, this is going to be game changing. I think it was just a whole lot of little bits of evidence that stacked up, where people, I had somebody say to me that she's like, these group coaching calls, like I've never experienced anything like this. She has a corporate job, and she's
Yeah.
just like, I want to send these to my manager to be like, hey, like we need support here in the job in the way that I'm getting from this community and stuff. So there's
Wouldn't that
just
be
been
great?
little things. We have a lot of members obviously in the group, and at any given time we have people dealing with loss and health issues and
Sure.
very big life challenges. And I think for them as well, I've heard from them firsthand, but they're like, oh my gosh, this helped me get through this season. So it's not even just the impact it has on their business, it's the impact it has on them navigating through life. But I'm curious, like, your perspective, Fred.
We love the calls for a number of reasons. One, many times we don't have questions,
Mm.
to ask on the call itself. But my stance is you don't know what you don't know. And so when we go to a call, we may not have a question, but when you're hearing various artists talk and about different concerns or different issues or questions they have about running their business, a lot of times that prompts, oh, I hadn't thought about that.
Mm.
It's okay. This was good. Hadn't thought about that. And so again, even if we don't have specific questions, listening in on the calls to me is always valuable.
Mm.
So I find the calls extremely useful. Yeah, I look forward to them as much. I probably look forward to them more so than even Margaret does. But yeah, it's a lot of fun, and you're right that it is a wonderful group of people, and they're very supportive of each other. And I think one of the things you realize after these calls and talking to people, it's not a zero sum game. It's not okay. I have to do better than her,
Mm.
or it's we can all grow the pie. There's plenty of business out there, and we're all doing different things, and we're going to reach different markets. So there's no harm in sharing and talking and communicating with each other. So
Yeah. No,
now,
I love
so
that.
kind of related to that, did you ever have training on psychology or counseling or anything like that? Because I, I, I sometimes, if you ever see me kind of smiling in the background when I call on mute, it's because I'm sitting there going, I see what you're doing. It's like you're very good at going, that's a good start. It's you're very positive, you're very uplifting, but at the same time, okay, let's push it in a slightly different direction. You're uplifting, but at the same time, steering somebody to where they need to be headed for the business. So did that come natural, or is that from all
Mm.
your watching Dr. Phil or
Yeah, that's a great question. I've not had any formal training. I haven't studied psychology. I haven't done anything like that. But when I decided to like go all in on coaching, I decided to immerse myself fully. And I'm kind of obsessive. So I was just like, I am going to be the best coach that I can possibly be. Like, I don't care what everyone else is doing. I want to be the best version of me as a coach that I can possibly be. So for I don't know, first 2 years, I re-listened to group coaching calls after
mm,
coaching. I would analyze how I handle things and be like, you know what, I could have done that better, or maybe I should approach it in this way. I think on a weekly basis, I was also in some other coaching programs just where I had gone through and I'd finished, but I was like, let me just immerse myself in hearing how people are coached. So I was doing like about 8 to 12 hours a week every week for a couple of
wow,
years, just immersing myself in
yeah,
how can I be the best coach possible. And it's still something to this day that I work on, because I think there's what you don't really want to do in coaching is just be like, people ask you a question, you're like, hey, go do XYZ, and
mm,
so that they become dependent on you.
right,
Because I don't want jewelry business owners to feel like if they don't have Robyn, they're not going to survive. I want them to build so much confidence within themselves that when they get really better at like problem solving and trusting themselves as they grow and as their business grows. And so when somebody's coming with a block, or when I need to call them out, because sometimes in coaching, I mean, I can't show up in a way where I want people to like me all the time. Like you've probably seen, sometimes I have to say things that are really hard for people to hear. And I know that. And there's a way to say that is going to immediately put up a wall and they're going to be like, hell no. But there's also a way of saying it where it's like, hey, I hear you, validate what's coming up for them, and still push, and in a way that's going to help them actually understand and be like, yeah, you know what, I hate that you're saying that to me, Robyn, but this makes sense, and now I'm going to go do it. So I
mm,
try and frame things in a way where people are like, okay, this is uncomfortable to hear, but I'm going to go do it, rather than a way where it doesn't make them want to take action. But yeah, it's always a work in progress. It's not something I've had training on, but yeah.
No. Well, you do an excellent job with it. I
Thank
admire
you.
it. So,
Thank you.
okay. So now switching gears slightly. Okay. Business is changing rapidly, especially these days. It seems like it's going at light speed these days with AI and changes in Instagram and the markets and, now even political landscapes. How do you stay on top of that? How do you try to keep up with that and figure out what's going to work for this business, these types of businesses?
Yeah, that's a great question, because I mean, life is like, things are moving at a crazy pace these days, especially in business. And so I, on principle, don't chase trends. So if
Okay.
everyone's jumping on a thing, I'm like, cool, but like, I just want to see if this is something legit first. And I try and stay rooted in like what I know works.
Okay.
So what I know works is like the right strategy, the right messaging, and visibility. And for a lot of jewelry business owners, it's having that core collection, or if you're doing one of a kind, that core one of a kind style where it's all under the same messaging. It's the strategy of using one social media platform, your email list, and then maybe your podcast to drive visibility. It's looking at the different revenue streams and making sure that we're really honing in on that. If you really focus on those things, the strategies for doing that doesn't really change dramatically.
Okay.
But if you're looking at the changing markets and you're like, oh my gosh, everyone's doing permanent jewelry, I'm going to hop on that trend. And now everyone's doing this and now everyone's doing that. It's chaos.
Yeah.
So I try and just teach what's aligned and what's really repeatable. And yeah, sometimes we change things. Like sometimes we'll
Sure.
cut part of our strategy and tweak it. I stay on top of it by, I guess, I'm always testing things in our business as well that I know are transferable to our clients. Not everything is, but some things are. I'm speaking to clients every week on these
Sure.
calls and finding out what's working, and sometimes being like, hey, why don't you try this? We've never tried this before, but I think this could work. Go try it. Let us know how it goes. But yeah, it always comes down to those key foundational things, which is like the storytelling, connection, consistent action of doing the required things, which are going to drive visibility. Yeah, keep it simple.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does. So, final question. What is your definition of success? How do you define how would you measure success?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it used to be different milestones.
I'm sure.
It used to be
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
this and that milestone. Quite honestly, like, to me, success is living in alignment with who you are and what you're supposed to be doing in this world, and owning your time. Like being able to
Mm.
wake up, do work that fulfills you, work with people you enjoy spending time with, go for walks in the sun when it's nice outside on your own terms, having that time and space and freedom to do things that light you up and that give you meaning, and like just doing work that deeply fulfills you. So that to me is
Mhm.
success.
I couldn't agree more. Little anecdote. When I was still working for a large corporation, we had intern, and she was going around and interviewing all of us to kind of just get a feel for what the business is and all that. And when she sat down with me, I told her, I said, the business does not care about you. The
Mm-hmm.
corporation will get rid of you at the drop of a hat if they feel it's in their best interest. So from that standpoint, I said, you need to consider, are you gaining from the corporation? Are you learning? Are you building your skill set? Are you improving yourself? If you are, you're getting paid for that. That's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
As long at the moment you stop improving, learning, gaining skills, then you're not benefiting from the corporation. They're benefiting from you. And I said, don't be afraid to change, because it's like, from, like I say, the corporation will survive. Um, they're not here to look after you, and they won't look after you. And
Yeah.
it took me a long time to realize that. And I one of the things that we've done, kind of along your lines of defining success, um, Margaret and I don't put in, 40, 50 hours a week on the business. We're deliberately saying, okay, we're keeping a good, comfortable number of hours, because the whole point of this is to enjoy ourselves and to have fun
Yeah.
at this, and not get into the rat race. So
Oh, I love that so much. And that's so hard to do.
it
It's
is.
so hard to consciously be like, oh, I'm here to enjoy the journey. And I think it would be so, I sometimes have to remind myself of this, of like,
Mhm.
what would 80-year-old Robyn sitting on a bench look like, thinking back on her life, like, what would she think about the way that I'm doing things right now? And there's been seasons where I've just sacrificed so much and hustled so much. And I'm just like, man, I forgot to like stop and smell the roses.
Mm-hmm.
And it really puts things into perspective. But thank you for sharing that, Fred. Is there
Yeah.
like that shift in as to how you define success now? Would you be able to frame it in like a sentence or two for everyone?
I mean, honestly, it's parroting a lot of what you said. It's living your life on your terms, and being happy. Don't get caught up with the rat race. The idea, unfortunately, at least in the U.S. and it sounds like Canada as well, a lot of the focus and kind of the way people are brought up is to believe that you have to get into this race, into this corporate world, and always striving and pushing and working an inordinate amount of hours with, like I say, oh, well, 10 years from now, we'll give you a couple of extra days
Yeah.
of vacation. It's like, it used to be people, you work, you do the things you need to survive, and then you have the rest of the time to relax and enjoy your family.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're so busy in this rat race. I don't know that you get a chance to enjoy it. We're having a lot more fun now, working more limited hours. Okay, yes, we're not bringing in a huge amount of income right now, but we're building the business slowly, and it will build.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fully confident of that. So I think the key thing is to live life on your terms, and understand that working for somebody else and working for corporations, um, I mean, it's not. It's okay for some people. I mean, that works for a lot of people. But the reality is that corporation, that business, does not care about the individual. They care about their bottom line, and it's important for you to realize that. And okay, if you're benefiting from that, fine. But don't be afraid to look at other options.
Yeah.
And we're enjoying our life right now. So I call that a success.
I call that winning.
Yeah.
I think that's beautiful. Well, thank you so much
Yeah.
for coming and joining me, Fred.
Thank you.
These were great questions.
Thank you.
And yeah, thank you for joining me. I know you're working on something behind the scenes that's top secret. Do you want to hint at it now, or do you want to
uh,
come back another time and share
uh,
what you're working on behind the scenes?
I'll share a little bit. It's exciting. This is an idea that I had been noodling around with ever since Margaret started her business. As an artist, she's very, very creative. She's a pure artist. I mean, she's good at everything. It's kind of annoying, but uh, she's good at art. She doesn't like the business side. She doesn't, managing the business side and all that she has to do. It's not fun for her. And so when she was starting this business, I started looking at, okay, let's find some software. There's got to be some software out there to help manage small businesses. And honestly, I didn't find it. I mean, yes, you can find you sure you can get QuickBooks for managing your books. You can buy or you can sign up for um, uh, CRM, customer relationship management tracking. Uh, those tend to be pricey and they're complicated, and that's one piece. Then you've got to piecemeal all the different pieces and parts. And so I've been noodling around with the idea of creating an app to help her manage the business. Now, I'm not going to compete with the big guys. I'm not going to build a full-fledged CRM and all of that. And I'm certainly not going to even attempt to go after like QuickBooks, managing books.
Mm.
But there's a lot of aspects to running the business that I thought a simplified version in a app that is easy for creatives to use, something that makes it easy, could be very helpful. And the stars aligned recently to allow me to start diving into that. We're well on our way to creating an app to help. First off, we're going to focus initially on just jewelry artists. And initially, sorry for everybody else, but this is going to be exclusive to JBA for probably a year or so. We're going to let the JBA users utilize this. And this will also help build out the platform. And we'll build it out over time and build in features. But the idea is to make things as simple and easy to track and maintain their business as possible. So I'm very excited about it. It's a lot of fun.
I'm so excited too. It's going to be amazing. I saw a sneak peek when it was in the very beta stages, and it was already looking good. So excited for you guys to bring this to life. And I'm excited for our clients to start testing it soon as well.
Yeah, what you saw was very raw.
Yeah.
And it was just a quick prototype of a couple of items that we thought could immediately spark interest. When you see it next, you'll be surprised. It's going to be, I think, quite good.
I'm excited. Well, we'll bring you back on for an update when it's fully running and rocking and rolling at some point to talk about it. But thank you again so much for being here, Fred. Thanks for bringing the questions, and
enjoyed it. It's always fun.
Also excited to see you at the retreat this year.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
You're coming to Kelowna with Margaret.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't wait. We're already packing our bags.
I love it. We're going to keep you guys here afterwards.
Okay. We want everyone
to stay with us in Kelowna.